Well, hello there. Good afternoon to you all. Konbawa. So, I came with the new chapter of Bleach 539 review called Progress. Progress, I think. Well, the title is kinda strange, and the old chapter was also very strange in several ways. Um, but first, regularly this chapter continues to show us what is happening on society with different characters, and then at the end of the chapter we see what is going on in Nimaya's place. So this chapter starts on the 12 squad barracks, and they are still rebuilding after all the destruction done by the pieces, and we see a familiar character coming on. That was Akon, the guy that was pierced by, I think it's Chaz Domino from the Van der Reich. And I actually think that Domino kinda killed Ekon, but apparently he only seriously wounded him. So he came again, and he began talking with another member of the squad, and kinda asking where is the captain and what is the captain doing. And the girl says that he is still locked up in a room, a research room, something like that, with the lieutenant, Nemo, and he did not come out for 24 or 48 hours, I think. And I can notice that all the surveillances bugs are being disconnected and so on, and then he kinda picks the image of a secret camera that he did build in the quarters of the captain, and we see a strange image with Mayuri and Nemo, and they are over. I don't know what is that thing. They are. I don't know what they are doing. They are trying to revive someone. They are building something. All the stuff around Mayuri usually is strange, but this image was more strange than usual, in my opinion. But we don't see what Mayuri is going on. We only see that he is doing some experiment that I did not get it correctly. If they are doing an experiment with a body, if they are doing I don't get it. So then we go and we have 1 or 2 pages with Omaeda, and he's at his home, and his sister came. His sister wants to play. He does not want because he's napping. Then the other brother of Marishi appears, and he kind of offers himself to read a book to his sister. She does not want because apparently the books of this guy are kind of strange, let's say on that way, and even his speech and so on. Well, it kind of reminds me, well, something that I did see on videos on Akaibara. Yeah. But I guess, and then he says he does not care, and then we see he's kind of bugged because Soifon did go to some place and did not take him, and then we see a couple of panels with Soifon training on the, I think it's a edge of a mountain, something like that, and she is training. So we see that she is training. And we cannot forget that she did lose his Bankai, so I guess she is also trying to do the same that Toshiro is trying to do in his own way. She is trying to improve their own combat skills, I guess. So then we go to again to Komamura inside the cave, and he is talking with his great grandfather after all, and he kinda came to him because he wants to learn the family secrets or the family secret techniques or something like that. And the big dog kinda began locking very loudly. And Komamura is trying to reasoning with him that they will change, they need to adapt to this world, they need to save this world because since all that is changing, he can now be is able to stay on the open without being covered by an armor and so on, and his great grandfather does not share that opinion. And we learn more about Komamura, and apparently there are a lot of people like Komamura, apparently. But from what I understand from this chapter, they usually stay hidden away, I guess. And his great grandfather kind of says that they do not need to change because even if the ruler of the world changes, they will not change. Their appearances will not change, so they will still continue to be laying low and doing their own business without interfering with the outside world. And Komamura disagrees, and he kinda becomes upset, and the big dog finally is on his four paws, and he's kinda saying, well, if you disturb our peace, I will need to crush you. So Komamura kinda says, okay, bring it on. So apparently he will need to fight his great grandfather to learn something, or eventually after he defeats his great grandfather, probably he will change his ways of thinking. I don't know, but well. And then we have Nimaya and Ichigo, and they kinda go to the base of the cliff where the shack of Nimaya is, and apparently there are water all around the place. And Nimaya says that all this water will be necessary to restore Ichigo's Bankai. And he also says that also prepare yourself because you will need to say goodbye to your zangetsu. And that's the end of the chapter. So, well, like I say, this chapter was very strange, especially on the parts of Mayuri. Uh, I don't get it what he is doing. I don't understand if he is working on a body, if he is working on a machine, if he's. I don't get it, but it's creepy and strange, and I don't know. It's a mystery. Uh, Perhaps I hope that this mystery is not like a cliffhanger that stays forever or something like that. Uh, but it was good to see that Akon actually did not die. Okay, so one character that apparently could have died in the Vanderage invasion is not dead. Well, so we see the returning of Akon. Then about Omaeda, I will not speak about it or about Soifon. What I have to say, I already did it when I was talking about it. Then we go to Komamura, and Komamura is interesting because we learn that there are others like Komamura, that they actually are a people, a group of people, let's say in a way. They are a group that is also living in the spirit world. Uh, Well, I will take a wild guess. The people of Komamura will are the spirits of the dogs of the living world that died and go to Soul Society. Maybe. Um, but they kinda live in seclusion. They do not interact with the world besides apparently the caves, because apparently they live in caves. It appears that. So they kind of live in hiding and they do not interact with the Shinigami, other souls, and so on. So they are a very seclusive clan. And apparently they do have some kind of special power or great power, because we see that Komamura Bankai was badass. So even if it was slow, it was powerful, destructive. So I will take a guess that most skills of the people of Komamura were related with eventually combat abilities or destructive powers. I will be guessing that. But for that we actually need to see Komamura and his great grandfather fight each other and see if they reveal something more on that or no. And what we understand about Komamura is that Komamura did left these people because he wanted to change. He wanted to change the ways of his people, the way how his clan thinks, and he wanted to interact with others. He wanted to discover the world that is all around him. So Komamura is kind of an explorer and adventurer, and I like this improvement on his character. And it was courageous, because if his people is always living in seclusion, for one member of that people to go outside and explore, that takes a lot of courage. So I'm quite fond of the development of the character of Komamura. And now I'm quite curious to see if how Kubo will portray the fight between him and his great grandfather. And then we came to Nimaya and Ichigo. And basically, about Ichigo and Nimaya, the only thing that I want to refer is the fact that Nimaya says that Ichigo needs to say will need to say goodbye to Zangetsu. So I think this kinda implies that Zangetsu will not be restored in a way. Or let's say, well, Zangetsu probably will disappear. So this would also implies that part of Ichigo powers will disappear along the way. However, since Nimaya will be forging a new Zanpakuto to Ichigo, I do think that Zanpakuto will have by basic powers all powers in a way, or in the Shinigami and Dolo powers merged together from the start. That I think is what implies the Azawishi that Ichigo chooses on last chapter. So his new Zanpakuto from the beginning will have Olo and Shinigami powers merged together. So what will happen to his Quincy powers? Can he also access that Quincy powers through these powers? Will he be able to access his Olo abilities a lot more easier than he can access until today? And will probably he will lose the Olo mask most likely, because it's quite implied that his Shinigami and Olo powers will they have already foreshadowed that in the past when Ichigo learned the final Getsuga Tenshu is Hollow powers in Vassal Lord form, and his Shinigami powers, Tensa Zangetsu, merge together for him to achieve the final Getsuga Tenshu, the final form. So I think this new Zanpakuto will have from the start that premise that his Shinigami and Hollow powers are from the start merged completely. So this kind of implies that he could access his Shinigami and Hollow powers at the same time, or he can develop new techniques having those two powers merged together. Eventually, perhaps even his Getsuga Tenshu will change. Perhaps he will kind of develop a technique. It's not a zero, but similar to a zero. I don't know. The hypotheses of Ichigo development now are wide open. But the only thing that is kind of bugging me on this is, so what will happen to his Quincy powers? Will he also train on Quincy powers? Will in some way, in the least Blunt Vene, can he will use Blunt Vene with his new Zanpakuto? Because still, even if Ichigo finishes the trip in the Royal Palace, he still is not matured enough on his powers. He still needs his Quincy powers, because I don't think that even with Shinigami and Hollow powers, and also Fullbringer powers along the way, let's say on that way, merged together, he still will not be able to beat Juabach. For Christ's sake, Juabach destroyed Yamamoto, and I don't think that Ichigo, even with Quincy and Hollow powers merged together, he was not more powerful than Yamamoto, so he still is not able to beat Juabach. For him to beat Juabach, he will need also to develop at some point his Quincy powers and then merge them all together. That's my personal theory on it. So, well, I guess that this new Zanpakuto will be a power boost for Ichigo, will also open the path for him to learn new techniques, new abilities, eventually to discover what his elemental powers are and what he can do with it. But still his development will not achieve 100%. But this is quite interesting. So this is my chapter review for Bleach 539. Also, I did not made a prediction discussion video on last week because I was unable to do it. So if to all that kinda watch my prediction discussions previews videos that I usually make, I apologize for that, but I did not have the time to do it, and when I had the time it was already yesterday, so but I will try in this week to make a prediction discussion video for chapter 540. So this is my review for Bleach chapter 539. Hope you enjoyed. Stay well, and if you have your own ideas, thoughts, theories on how will the story progress on, please share it on the comments below. Stay well and peace.